You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Monday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Monday, August 26th, episode 3505, brought to you today by WERM Flooring. Good morning, horse people.
I have good news and bad news for you on this Monday morning. First, the bad. It's Monday. But the good news is really good. Jamie and Glenn are here to guide you through another week filled with horse talk and a whole lot of fun. Welcome to Horses in the Morning.
That's my favorite intro.
Is it?
I like that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's from like 5 or 6 years ago. So today, we have a big show planned for you. A lot of stuff going on today. What's the real story behind the Whoa, No-Go study that's made all the mainstream headlines? This is the one about how horses were more intelligent than everybody thought. And it's just been in New York Times, it's been everywhere. It's been every mainstream newspaper. And Jennifer got to the bottom of it. She talked to Louise Evans, who's based in Nottingham Trent University, who's going to give us the real scoop on the study. And when I got done listening to this interview that Jennifer did with her, she did a great job with it. I went, I'm not sure that's what the headlines really, I'm not sure it matches. So we'll let you draw your own conclusions on that. Then we have the executive director of the Western Dressage Association of America on to join us talking about the popularity of Western Dressage and the World Show that's coming up. And one of our terrific auditors apparently qualified for that. And then some equestrian first world problems. And then in the auditor post show, Jamie brought up water towers the other day because Anna brought up water towers, right?
So yeah, my German exchange student, they're very, very popular in Oklahoma. Every town has a water tower. And she asked me just innocently, like, what is that? That's a water tower. What is it for? I don't know. So, like, is there water in it? I don't know. I don't know what it's for. And I'm like kind of feeling stupid because they're everywhere. And so I've asked like 100 people, what do water towers do? And honest to God, except for my husband, Nerd Man, nobody knows. Like, so
yeah, I always wondered why they pumped the water up to pump it back down. I never got that.
I don't know.
So figures that we have a listener whose husband builds water towers. We're gonna get him on in the post show to explain how a water tower works.
God, of course, somebody who listens to the show is married to some guy who builds water towers.
You've met him, actually. So.
I have. I didn't even know. They bought a horse trailer from me. They live in Southeast Oklahoma. I was like, I didn't know he did that. Cool. I need to talk to people more when they come because I would have been like, really, what does a water tower do?
This is the hard-hitting stuff you get here on Horses in the Morning.
I mean, we deliver.
And that's why you want to become an auditor because, you're going to miss out on how water towers work if you don't.
You're going to just wonder for the rest of your life what water towers do.
That's right, because Google doesn't exist, and none of us apparently looked it up. So, hey, Plymouth, I lived in Plymouth, Massachusetts for a little while, a year or two. And, Massachusetts tends to overreact to things. And I kind of wonder if this is an overreaction to something. But Eastern equine encephalitis, EEE, has become a real thing this year. I'm seeing a lot of stories on it, a lot of horses getting it and stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stories. But apparently a guy in Worcester County, which is right beside Plymouth, an 80-year-old got it. And Plymouth, Massachusetts said, well, that's it. We have to close all of our public places, the parks, and anything that's open that's public. We have to close at 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning because that's when the mosquitoes are out. Because of this one case of EEE, they're actually doing kind of a quarantine on keeping people inside at night. Kind of an overreaction to one case, isn't it?
Well, I have found that our government does a really good job of, like, when a disease outbreak happens, really knocking really saw a lot of that. Like, I feel like if I'm going to trust somebody, it's going to be the government to tell me how to save myself in case of a disease.
Now, I will say, I didn't realize the death rate was that high for humans with the EE. Apparently, it's 33 to 70%, with most deaths occurring in 2 to 10 days after the onset of symptoms.
Well, you sucked the fun right out of that.
I just didn't know. I didn't know that. When I was reading it, I was going, well, I guess. But not a lot of people get it. See, that's the thing, is not a lot of people do get it. I guess West Nile is actually more popular for humans.
Eastern equine encephalitis.
Yes.
So.
But apparently people do get it occasionally. But anyway, Plymouth overreacting up there. I said I'd moved out of Massachusetts and I'd never go back, and I haven't been since. So all you Massachusetts people, you've heard me say that before. You can write to Jennifer at horseradionetwork.com, who also is not in a hurry to go back to Massachusetts. So there we go.
Pretty much they hate you.
It's a wonderful state, just as long as I don't live there. Let's do some daily Whinnies. Well, we have no auditor birthdays today, but I do have a happy birthday to my younger brother who turns 60 tomorrow. And
my God.
His name is Wayne, and this gives me an opportunity to give a plug for his sign company. We haven't done that in a while. He runs easysignsonline.com and does all kinds of farm signs, from very elaborate carved signs to simple signs to whatever you need. He does it. Matter of fact, Jamie posted a picture of her Easy Signs Online sign the other night.
Yeah, randomly, I didn't know it was his birthday, but isn't that funny to say your younger brother is 60? That hurts. But no, this is the second farm sign I've had. I had one in Arizona as well, and it is awesome. So I just posted it. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's full sun on both sides all day, and it's done really, really well. So I just posted it on the Flyover Farm Facebook page if you want to see what it looks like. So, I mean, I love it. I love it.
He's done from the simplest farms to like the big, huge ones that you see at the entrances of subdivisions and developments. He's done everything. They can build almost anything. So if you're looking for a sign, easysignsonline.com. And happy birthday to my younger brother, Wayne.
Well, it's a holiday, Glenn. I don't know if you know that, but it is a very, very special.
Isn't it next week a holiday?
Yeah, whatever. This one matters.
Oh.
Because everybody, happy National Dog Day. Yay! That's right. It's National Dog Day. Since 2004, it has been held on August 26th. And International Dog Day is observed annually on August 26th to honor all dogs, no matter shapes, sizes, age, and breeds, and to encourage adoption to all of those who have yet to find a home and a forever family. Now, I would just tell you, it's also, they're doing something called Clear the Shelters. I know it's in Oklahoma. I don't know if it's like nationally, but Horse and Hound Rescue was on Channel 4 News last week because they did a Clear the Shelters, and they decided to highlight how Horse and Hound has horses and senior dogs. So they showed Papa Tango, one of the horses I trained, and one of the volunteers was out riding him, and they highlighted some of the senior dogs there. It's just really, really cool. So happy National Dog Day. Yay.
I don't have a dog, so give a shout out to your dogs.
Okay. Well, I have 4, and I would have 24 if I wasn't married. So I have our oldest, we'll go oldest to youngest.
Okay.
Our oldest is Bella. She's a Basset Hound. She came from Horse and Hound Rescue. I got her about 4 years ago, and she's like 150. Okay. She's really, really old, but I love her. And then we've got Danny underneath that, and she is she's half border collie, 1/4 Australian cattle dog, and 1/4 corgi. Yeah, that's fun. She's amazing. And then we have Homer, my 2-year-old Basset Hound, and now we have Winks, who is 71% border collie and 9 other breeds. So she came from a post on next door, and I saw her, and I had to have her.
Well, happy National Dog Day to all the
you know what
we'll
do a Facebook post on the auditor's page. It's time to share your dogs again. I want to see everybody's
dog
dogs.
pictures. Yeah, let's do that.
God.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's like, it's unhealthy. When I see a dog, I'm just like, I was talking to friends last night. We were at a pool party, like after a soccer game. We went to this pool party, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Super boober, super now. Hello, little baby. Hello." It's a problem. It's a problem. I'm not alone.
Oh no, I have been looking closely at the Greyhound rescue here in Florida. I've been looking closely at the dogs for adoption. Now we have to get in our damn house for that to happen. So I've just been looking at this point, but. We did go to a Greyhound meet and greet the other day in Ocala. So did that.
Fun.
Got to say hi to some Greyhounds and little Italian Greyhound. So it was fun. It was fun to hang out. Saw some people we ended up knowing that were from the horse world. So.
Oh, that's cool. Now, Greyhounds, they're not racing anymore, right?
Well, in some places they are, but most of the ones up for adoption now in Florida are being flown in from Australia and Ireland.
Oh my God. There was a big thing when I was in Spain. They do a lot of Greyhound racing. So
yeah, they're flying them in from other countries now to adopt them out because they're not breeding them here anymore. If there's no racing, no reason to breed them.
Nobody's
right?
adopting them there. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's why they guess they can. Now their adoption fees also went up from like $250 to $1,200.
Oh my gosh.
Because you got to pay for them to come in, right? So they have to pay for their flights. So, there's a catch-22 to that. Hey, ditch the mats and upgrade to WERM flooring systems for your trailer. It's a constant struggle with heavy rubber mats. I tell you what, you have to pick them up, you have to move them, then you have to try and get them back in the same hole. And it never works. So if you want to get rid of that whole problem, you want to look at WERM flooring system. It's a rubberized flooring system that they put on your floor. They wrap it up around the walls so that it's completely waterproof. You don't have to worry about liquids getting through to the wood or your aluminum frame. It's slip resistant, so you don't have to worry about your horses slipping on it. You don't really need to put anything over top of it. You can hose it out when you're done. So when the horses pee in there, it's not going through. It's not ruining your wood. I can't tell you how many wood floors we replaced in trailers over the years. So it's built to last. It can withstand heavy machinery too. So like if you park your tractor in there or your lawnmower in there, you
for my barn aisle, I just talked to Chad. I'm like, because the horses, when they walk in, like when we put concrete flooring down.
Is yours concrete, your barn
It's
aisle?
a concrete.
Okay.
Yeah. The middle is, the aisle is, and we got it like kind of roughed up, so it's not slippery, but that like wears down.
Yeah.
After time.
It does.
And I would have like really graded it had I thought about it. But so now I'm like, we are going to have to worm floor the barn aisle. and
they do that.
Like, what about that cost? They do that. They do. And I want it. And when I win the lottery, that is the first thing going in.
I told you, that's one of the worst accidents Jennifer ever had was on a concrete floor aisle. Horse slipped, went down. She was between its legs, and she ended up in the hospital. So, get it done. WERM flooring, it means we eliminate rubber mats. WERMflooring.com to find a dealer near you. So before we get to this interview that Jennifer did about this study that's going crazy around the world, I wanted to mention that the USEF actually is making some changes. If you remember, Chromatic was the name of a horse that died in Saudi Arabia at a show, at an FEI show. And it died after being given drugs by the USEF appointed veterinarian. They never really did say, I don't think, what drugs, but the veterinarian made a decision to administer FEI-permitted medications that he believed would help sustain the horse's performance in the days that followed, but didn't tell the owner of the horse because apparently in the rules of FEI and the USEF, when the USEF veterinarian's on the grounds, they can do anything they want to your horse and you don't have a say in it. And remember how we were all shocked by that? You have a say in what your own horse does at the FEI level? Well, now there's some revisions that they're putting into place. And one of them it's called the Horse Participation Consent Agreement, which will stipulate that except in an emergency, no medications will be administered to horses by team veterinarians at international competitions without prior consent of the athlete. No kidding. Who is the person responsible under FEI regulations for substances present in a horse? Yeah, see, that was the problem with that, is if the vet gave your horse, and you didn't know about it, gave it something that was prohibited, it's you that's still responsible as the owner of the horse. So I'm glad that this one's taking place, and it looks like it's going through. So it'll solve at least the problem of people not knowing what's given to their horses, which was absolutely bizarre. I think a lot of people in the world were surprised to find that out, and I'm sure we'll see other federations doing the same thing. And then there was a couple other things they did in there, which I thought were already, that they were already doing. But that was the most important one, but I did want to mention it. We talk about the USEF and we pick on them all the time for doing stupid stuff. Well, here's something that they're doing that actually is good, but it's a reaction to a bad thing, but I'm glad it's happening. So Good on the USEF for doing the right thing there. Okay, so if you've followed the news or Facebook posts or anything in the last 2 weeks, you've seen about this study that most of the headlines are saying horses are more intelligent than previously believed. And Jennifer caught up with Louise Evans, who was very excited to talk to somebody because she said all of these articles, apparently some mainstream press picked up the paper that went out and kind of wrote their own version of it. And then everybody else wrote the same version. And she said,
no, you're kidding me. Some media didn't actually do their own research.
She said nobody contacted them. So she was thrilled to talk to somebody to clarify exactly what this was all about. And I'm not sure the headlines match what they found. So I want you to let us know after I play this for you. It's about 15 minutes long, but it's really good. I want you to let us know what you think after you hear this. And did it match what you read in the articles?
On today's health segment, we're going to do a deep dive into some serious science. And our guest today is Louise Evans. She is a PhD candidate at Nottingham Trent University. And she was a lead researcher on a paper that was recently published, and the name of the paper is Whoa, No Go, Evidence Consistent with Model-Based Strategy Use in Horses During an Inhibitory Task. There's so many words there, Louise.
Yeah, there are many words there, yeah.
So,
but hopefully I'll be able to explain it in a way that makes it a little bit more simple and easy to follow.
Why don't we start with that? In simplified terms, without too many large PhD words, what did you set out to prove or disprove?
So we originally set out to discover whether horses' stress levels, their sort of physiological arousal levels, influenced how well they would perform on a cognitive task. And the cognitive task that we were looking at was inhibitory control, which is another sort of fancy way of saying impulse control. So your ability to hold back your sort of urges, behavioral urges. And we wanted to know if horses were good at that, and if so, whether their stress levels would influence their performance on that task.
Impulse control, example that horse people come across every single day, is at dinner time, you walk into your horse's stall with your bucket of grain, and your horse just acts silly. He just can't, and he does things, and he can't control those impulses. We're all familiar with impulse control on horses. Different horses seem to have different levels of impulse control, and different humans have different levels of ability to help the horses control those things. So how many horses did you have involved in, was it is study the appropriate word to use for this?
Yeah, it was a study, and we had 20 horses that are all housed at Nottingham Trent University. So they're all university horses that are used for the equine courses at the university.
So you were able to have good control over everything about them versus having individual horse owners perform that task. There's a lot of variables in there. You were able to control a lot of the variables.
Exactly, yeah. So they were all trained by me. So they all had the same trainer, and they were all housed in the same place with the same environment and routine. So we were able to control lots of factors, yeah. So
if I remember right, when I only read the article, I didn't read the research paper yet. You taught a horse to touch a target and get a reward. That was the first part of it?
Mm-hmm, that's right, yes. So they had to touch a piece of card, and in return for touching the card, they got a treat.
So the second step was what?
So once they'd learned to touch the target, every time we presented it to them, we then introduced a stop signal. So this is a little bit like a traffic light when you're driving a car. We had a light, and I was wearing the light around my middle. It was actually a cyclist's head torch that I'd put around my waist. And the light was a white light rather than a red stop traffic light, because we know that horses can't see red very well, but they can see white. So whenever the light was on, that was the horse's signal to stop touching the target. And they had to wait until I turned the light back off again for them to be able to continue touching the target and getting the food reward. So that was the basic premise of the inhibitory control task.
So that's what the inhibitory part of the name of this whole thing was that the horse was to learn that you shouldn't be doing it when that's happening. So when you got to step 2, how did that training process go? Did it go as you thought it would? Did you have some surprises there?
Yeah, we had some surprises. So we were expecting our horses to learn how to do this within a couple of training sessions. But actually what we found was that the horses were performing much worse than we were expecting. So what we were seeing was the horses were all just touching the target all of the time, regardless of the light. So they were just completely ignoring the stop light, the stop signal. And they seemed to be getting worse. They seemed to, more training sessions, they were performing more errors. So the errors were when they touched the target when they weren't supposed to, when the light was on. And that was quite concerning to us, because this is a task that we know that goldfish can do. Other researchers have found that goldfish can pay attention to stoplights, like a traffic light system. So we were a little bit concerned that maybe our horses were not as smart as goldfish, which, we sit on their backs and we sort of jump over big fences and things. We'd like to think that they're smarter than a goldfish.
So was the step 3 of this whole process, where you add another ingredient, was that in the initial plan, or did you have to pivot to get to step 3?
Exactly, yeah. That wasn't in the original plan. But because the horse's performance was so poor, we had to really scratch our heads and think, what's going on here? The horse is just really not very good at this task. Or is the fact that there's no penalty for making these continued errors, is that what's encouraging the horses to just continue touching every time? So this is really where the model-based strategy part of the whole thing comes in. So when we think about a model-based strategy, what we're talking about is the ability to build a kind of map or a mental model of the rules of the game. And in doing that, what we think our horses were doing was they'd worked out that, okay, I can touch this target every single time. Sometimes I get rewarded with a nice tasty treat. Sometimes nothing happens. But there's never anything really bad happening. There's never a punishment or any kind of penalty for me making errors. So why would I use the mental energy, the mental effort that's involved in paying attention to this stoplight when I could just touch the target every time and completely ignore it and not waste valuable energy? And that's something that's quite advanced and quite clever for a horse to be able to do.
So when you came up with the idea, now step 3 was adding the timeout. Explain what that looked like.
So we decided to test this by introducing a penalty for making errors. So this time, whenever the horse touched the target when the light was on, which was what they were not supposed to be doing, they received a 10-second timeout. So in a 10-second timeout, all that happened was I, the trainer, stepped away from the horses and removed the target so they couldn't touch it and they couldn't get any kind of reward. So essentially, I was putting a pause on the game and saying, okay, you've made an error, so now you're not allowed to play for 10 seconds.
So that, I see, so they did not have the opportunity to make the error, but they also did not have the opportunity to earn a reward during the timeout.
Exactly, yeah. So it's known as negative reinforcement. So you're removing, negative punishment, I should say. So you're removing something, a punishment. So we removed the opportunity to play the game as a punishment for making an error.
Alrighty, so you did that. So once you started to use step 3, what did you see happen, and how long did it take before the horses started to have light bulb moments?
So much to our delight, the horses all immediately started following the rules of the game. When we introduced our penalty, horses suddenly switched, and it was like a light bulb moment happened, and the horses all started following the lights. And really, what was interesting about that was it suggested to us that horses knew all along what the rules of the game were. So in other words, they had built a mental model of the rules of the game and chosen not to follow them. And the reason we've been able to come to that conclusion is because if horses just needed this extra step, this extra sort of penalty to help them learn, we'd expect that to happen gradually. Whereas what we saw was an immediate shift, almost straight away in that very first training session where we introduced this penalty, was when we saw this effect. And that tells us that this isn't something they were learning in real time. It's something that they had already learned, and they were switching strategy.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, you've done your research with your 20 horses, and you've gotten your paper published. What's the next step for you in your research?
So what we'd really like to do is we'd like to test the same model on other horses. So we'd like to go to, different yards, maybe try with different kinds of horses. Our horses that we've got at the university are used to taking part in research. That's part of their job. Every day is they are there for riding, for the students. They're there for sort of teaching purposes, but they're also there for research. So they are quite used to having novel scenarios, and
they're
being
good
put
thinkers.
in
They're good thinkers.
They're very good thinkers, and we'd like to know whether we've just got a particularly good, smart group of horses on our hands, or if this is an ability that can be sort of applied more widespread with other groups of horses. So we'd like to do that. But also, we'd like to go back to the original aim of this study, which was to look at horses' stress levels during training and how that affects their learning ability. And we actually have been able to look at that data now, and we're preparing to publish that data. So if you're interested in that side of the story, then definitely stay tuned for that, because we're hoping that that's going to be published very soon as well.
Actually, I am very curious. So when you were checking the stress levels, at what points during the study did you check stress levels? After each of the 3 steps, or during each of the 3 steps?
So we monitored horses' heart rate variability all throughout every single training session.
Oh.
We also measured their heart rate variability at baseline, so when they were just resting in their stables. And we also measured their eye temperature, because eye temperature is a really good indicator of welfare in horses. Horses' eyes get hotter when they're more stressed, just the same as humans and other mammals. And we also measured blink rate as well, which was a little bit novel. So we've got lots of different measures of arousal and stress that we can use to sort of tell kind of how our horses were feeling during training, and what their sort of responses were to this task, which is really nice. We've got all that data.
I am very curious to see what the data shows, whether or not the data, as far as their stress level is concerned, whether or not it shows a trend towards frustration when you were using the light and they didn't always get a cookie and they just kept asking for the cookie and asking for the cookie and asking for the cookie, and they didn't always get it. Or if by the time you got to the third step, where you gave them a timeout, whether or not the horses said, oh, got it. This is no stress at all. It's going to be interesting. I am definitely going to have you back on.
Well, do you know what? I can give you a sneak peek preview. You might be onto something there. We definitely did see one of the results we saw was that horses were more relaxed when we introduced the penalty. So just as you've sort of hypothesized there, we saw that horses actually almost like took a sigh of relief when we, introduced these very clear boundaries.
Well, yeah, very black and white rules. I know exactly what this means. Ooh. So when do you think you're going to be publishing the remainder of your results? Sometime in this year?
Hopefully very soon. Yeah, we're currently just preparing the manuscript and we're hoping to get it out there as soon as possible because we really want to share this research, especially while the interest for it is so high and people are so engaged in our work. We're really grateful for the response we've had on this paper and we'd like to keep it going.
Now, is there a place online where folks can zip along, read about your research and the things that you're doing at the Nottingham Trent University?
Yes, so people can find the paper online. It's at Applied Animal Behaviour Science Journal. So that's the journal that has published it. I'm not sure if you might be able to share a link in your...
I will put a link
podcast
on the show notes page. Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. So there'll be a link to the paper itself. People can follow me on ResearchGate if they'd like to see all of the work that's coming out of this project. Or they can follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well, or X, as it's called now. And I can pass on all those details to you if people are keen to get in touch with me or sort of keep in touch with the project.
Yeah, I will put a link on the show notes page so folks can reach out and find you. And thank you very much, Louise, for coming on the show and telling us all about the research. Watch this space, everybody. There's more to come.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's so interesting. And it is basically, in a nutshell, kind of what Join Up does for horses. And I'll give you an example. I have this one horse. His name is Hellraiser. Okay. And he came here and
Is that his real racing name, or was that his
That's
name?
his real name, Hellrazer. And so it's crazy. So he came here, and Horse and Hound, most of the time, if they have some bad ones, they send them to me because their volunteers don't quite know what to do with them. So he came here, and Nelda warned me, he is a lot, but he will warm up to you. He'll warm up to you. He'll be sweet. It's just going to take him a while. So the first 3 days, I couldn't catch him. And if I did catch him, I did get close enough to him, he kind of barged into you and stuff. And he was just constantly pushing and pulling and running and not running. It was just a very unsettled animal. And so finally, the day I could catch him, I put a dually halter over his halter, and I took him in the round pen, and I took the lead line off, and I did a join up, which join up is basically you're using the horse's natural flight distance to send it around. Horses, if they run from something they're afraid of, it's about 1/4 to 3/8 of a mile. And so then they start to look for a way to not be alone. So you send them around about 1/4 to 3/8 a mile, 4 laps in each direction. And then you start to listen to their body language. And there's 4 signs of communication: the ear, the lowering of the head, the licking and chewing, and making a smaller circle. And those are 4 signs that they are ready to be with you. Okay. And so this horse, after 3 laps in each direction, was screaming those signs at me, please, I want to come in. I did a join up, and he came right to me. And that horse has been 100% relaxed since then. I took the whole, we have a boundary. I'm moving your feet, and when you come to me, you find rest and relaxation. And he now loves people. I can't, just one join up, just change that. And I think when they are
Well, he knew what the
kids.
boundaries and the rules were, which is basically what this study says. When they know that, then they're better.
It just was like, oh, wait, I don't have to try to be the lead boss of the herd. I'm just going to, because horses, they don't want to fight and challenge. They don't want to. They just want to know where their place is. That's how herd dynamics work. And once he realized that he didn't have to fight anymore and have to be too much, that horse has relaxed. His heart rate probably is just, he trots to me in the pasture now. I turned him out with my herd. I was like, go be in the herd. And he is the easiest horse to catch now in the whole pasture. I can't believe it. But one join up. And that's exactly what that study said, which is like, hey, guess what? Horses and children, they like boundaries. They don't want to challenge you all the time.
Adults do
it's
too,
unsettling.
if you think about it.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I'm glad
anyway.
Jennifer caught up with her. I'm really glad that we got to hear it from her directly. And there's a second part to this coming out, the stress part she mentioned, that we'll have her back on when they release that. It's supposed to be soon, I think. All right, let's talk about Calexiquin, and then we'll go to our next guest.
All right. Well, the foundation of a horse's well-being is a strong hoof. That's why Calexiquin, the new daily hoof support supplement from the makers of Cosequin, contains key ingredients such as biotin, amino acids, copper, and zinc to support hoof integrity, quality growth, strength, and durability. Dang, that has all the good stuff. What sets Calexiquin apart from the other hoof supplements is the inclusion of vitamin E and selenium. Hello, that's like the best stuff, which provide antioxidant support and membrane stabilization. So put your best hoof forward with Calexiquin. To learn more, visit Calexiquin.com, Calexiquin.com.
Well, next up, we have Dini Swanson, who's the executive director of the Western Dressage Association of America, and they have the WDAA World Show coming up. That's going to be held over by Jamie in Guthrie, Oklahoma, on September 18th through the 22nd. Hi, Dini. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, on the Horse Radio Network, we covered Western Dressage quite a few years ago with Stacy Westfall when she was doing shows with us. And, you know, I loved talking to you then. So thank you for coming back to talk a little bit on this show about it. One of our auditors qualified for the World Championship show coming up. And that's what really led us to go, we really need to talk about this again. Is the popularity still rising on Western Dressage? It was getting so popular.
Absolutely. We actually just had to close entries for the World Show a week early because we're already full.
Wow. That's a little different than 5 years ago when I talked to you.
Yeah. It's a great, you know, we feel terrible, but it's a great problem to have, you know, to have too many people excited about coming to our show. Last year, we even had a lady that didn't get in, but she still brought her horse and trail rode it all week.
She just wanted to be there. So, you know, one of the things I like about Western Dressage, and you really started it with this in mind, is the diversity. And diversity of people, the diversity in classes, the diversity in breeds. I read you had 54 breeds at last year's show. That's unheard of.
It's like being a kid in a candy store. It's so awesome to see every single shape and size.
Yeah, it's not all just quarter horses.
And mule.
Yeah. On mules too. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Why do you think it appeals to so many people, you know, of all different, from English to Western to, you know, whether you have draft horses to, you know, mules? Why is it such an appeal?
Well, I don't know. I guess there's a place for everybody. It's easy to get into. It's easy to start, you know, by way of the tests and the levels and how they move up. And kind of the atmosphere. I mean, we are just very low key and we're fun and, you know, we're the grassroots. You know, we're kind of people can come to us in two ways, really. It could be their third or fourth career for their horse, or they're just starting and have never shown before in their lives and they come in. So even that way we just have everybody. We have a little bit of everything, and we work very, very hard to keep it fun and not intense.
Well, you know what? I will tell you what I like about Western Dressage is that I had a thoroughbred come to me And he just wasn't a super talented jumper. He was going to be good at dressage, but he didn't have that like big up head carriage and everything. That horse became the most lovely Western dressage horse. So it gives a place for a lot of animals to go that they might not excel in these ridiculous other things, but like that was like the perfect frame and structure for him, and the perfect environment for him too, because like you said, it is a lot more fun and kind of less stress than a lot of the English world that I've competed in. And it just worked great for him. He didn't have to be cranked up into the bridle and shoved forward. It causes, I think, Western dressage allows the horse to be more happy and relaxed, and then the rider's more happy and relaxed.
That you hit the nail on the head. If you watch any of the videos, we have a live feed for the entire show that Total Horse Channel does for us. And we do all 4 arenas, and you watch those horses' ears, and it's just amazing. The harmony between rider and horse, you can tell it right off. Just happy horses.
Well, one of our listeners,
riders.
One of our listeners, Samantha, she qualified. She's going to try to go next year. She qualified not in enough time to save up enough money to travel, but she told me that they're not unreasonable show fees. And then she's actually had more consistent scoring and better feedback than she ever did in traditional dressage.
That's another thing that we strive for, is for our judges to be constructive, and to be positive and encourage people to want to continue on this path of Western dressage. So every single opportunity we get, we really strive to make this welcoming and positive. We've all been through experiences that were not fun. When
in the show world, no.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
So you even have gated classes,
you're
right?
So nervous. Yeah. We have a great gated contingent that's growing very quickly.
See, that's what I mean about the inclusivity
It suits them perfectly.
Now, I did notice also on your class list that you had therapeutic riding classes. Tell us about that.
Correct. This is very important when we first started. What it is we have an exceptional rider division. And then underneath that, we have 2 subdivisions. And one is physically challenged riding. And they ride the regular WDAA tests with consideration, where they, one year we had a girl that was almost completely blind. She could see tiny little dots of light. And so they would put lamps, little really bright, tiny lamps on top of all the letters. And she did beautiful
cool.
patterns. And oh my gosh, everybody, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. She did a great job. And then the other subdivision is therapeutic riding, where they have their own set of tests, and they can either ride their test alone, or they can have a side walker, or be led. Well, and that's become really popular.
And I don't know of that in any other world show of any kind. So good for you. And then you have everyone's favorite that you always sell out the tickets for, and that's freestyle. Is there a freestyle last year that stood out to you?
Oh my gosh. To be perfectly honest, that goes on during the parties that I host. So
she doesn't remember much.
She doesn't remember anything.
I don't get to sit. I'm picking up tickets and doing silent auction stuff. And so unfortunately I don't get to watch them except for a couple minutes and go, yay, that's awesome. And then run back to whatever I'm doing.
Okay.
But there are some beautiful, really fun costume freestyles, especially.
I bet. I mean, because you got all those different breeds there, you can kind of play to your breed, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the fun thing, and the reason why I'm saying everybody's partying and having a good time during these classes is because the Lazy E has a giant, it's like a sports bar up above the arena, and it's kind of theater seating. So we have our parties during the freestyle, so everybody can go up and watch. from the party,
If somebody wanted to
which
get
is kind of rowdy.
if somebody was coming, just brand new starting, or as you said, it's a third or fourth career for them or their horse, where do they find people to get started to help them in Western dressage?
So we have a few avenues. We have our professionals directory that's on our website. We've got people all over the country, trainers pretty well spread out, and clinicians. And then we also have, once you join WDAA, we've got a Facebook page for members only. It's called Social Corral. And that has been really, really helpful. People will, put up a question and you've got 20 mentors giving you advice. And it's been really wonderful because people will, make friends with somebody in California and they're in Maine and they're getting, some training tips from them. So it's a really good community. They're all very proud and happy to help newbies.
And I assume tickets are still available if people want to come in and watch. This is September 18th through the 22nd at the Guthrie, Oklahoma Lazy E Arena. And how do they do that?
Absolutely. They just show up. We
Okay.
don't have tickets. We don't charge. We want everybody to experience it and have fun and come on.
Well, that's the right price.
Come on down. Yeah.
Glenn's favorite price.
All right. It's WDAA World Show.org is the website. We'll put a link to it in our show notes. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
There's more talk than ever about the importance of probiotics in equine health, but not all probiotics are created equal. New Purina Systemic Supplement remains live and active after the pelleting process and throughout the digestive system, making it all the way to the hind gut. Systemic was designed to support normal recovery after exercise and occasional gastrointestinal stress. Whether you're using a probiotic now or not, it's time to use a live and active supplement from a name you can trust, the New Purina Systemic Probiotic.
You can enjoy your favorite equine videos all in one place with Ride TV, the ultimate equine streaming platform. The newly relaunched Ride TV has all the series you love, like Cowgirls and Ridiculous Ranches, plus top-tier training videos and event footage from BailRacing.com and Horse and Rider On Demand. Whether you're ready to relax with your favorite series, binge watch competition footage, or train with a world champion, subscribe to Ride TV today for only $19.99 to see where your ride takes you. Visit ridetvgo.tv to subscribe.
It's time for the weekly look at your equestrian first world problems. This ought to be good.
Yeah, it's sad problems that our listeners have. And on Sundays or like today, early Monday morning, I put a post up on the auditor's Facebook page asking people to please share with us your equestrian first world problems. And they always do. So here's let's just get started here. We'll start with, for posting it, Glenn, on a Monday morning, there was a lot. So people had a lot to say on 6 o'clock on a Monday morning. All right. So we'll start with Carrie. She said, my friend and I are both riding my horse in a dressage show next weekend, but her ride time is 10 a.m. and mine is 4 p.m. And that's so much waiting. See, if they were in Guthrie, they'd have a bar up top.
It is true. It is true.
Oh, gosh. Julia says,
and nobody, you bring 4 people to the show. You got your wife and 3 students. They all have time scattered throughout the day. It's one at 9 o'clock in the morning and one at 5 o'clock in the evening. It's like,
I remember going to hunter shows when I was a kid, and the warm up was at like 7 a.m. and I wouldn't show till 4. So you get up there. I'd leave at 3 in the morning, get up there, go to the show, do my warm up, and then just basically sit around all day.
Yeah, your warm up was useless at that point.
That's why I started eventing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they tell me what time? You ride at 4:12. Cool. Kara, this one, Julia, this one hurts me. She said, I'm not the only one who loves my new big, comfy muck boots. A big fat toad also likes to sleep in them. Ask me how I know. That must have been so scary.
We have the problem with lizards.
Yeah. We have beetles here that get in your shoes, and so now I can't pick up a shoe without tipping it over now. Even though if it's like upside down already, I still have to shake it.
Once you crunch one under your foot in this shoe,
Poor Charlotte. She posts the same problem every single week. You know, Charlotte. She's our like high upper level, Olympic level, Paralympic dressage rider, and she posts this every week. And I don't include it all the time because I feel so bad for her, but I'm going to do it just to appease her. That we all know. She said, "I'm horse shopping still. That's all."
Poor Charlotte. Ever since I've known Charlotte, she's been horse shopping. It's terrible.
Oh, bless her.
God, I hope you find a horse soon, Charlotte.
Adrian, I took my glasses off. I can't see it. Hold on. Adrian says, "We have 3 barns full of hay to sell, alfalfa and grass, first through third cutting, and more on the ground this week. But like selling stuff is so exhausting."
Can you ship a truck down here, please?
We'll take it. I mean, yeah, seriously. Glenn will become your hay broker in Florida.
Gladly.
Melanie said, and this is such a cute little video she posted of all these girls in an indoor arena on horses carrying these like plastic torches as they walked around. And she said, "We held our barn Olympics this past weekend and it was so much fun." And then of course, I'm so tired.
That's a good idea though. That's cool.
I love it. They were carrying like little like fake flames, you know, it was so cute.
Did Snoop Dogg come?
I don't know. Let's see, Melanie, we need to know Snoop Dogg's location. Alexis says, how much did he change the Olympics for everybody this year?
A ton.
I'm sorry.
Whatever they paid him. I heard he made $6 million. It was worth every dollar.
Worth every penny. I mean, my God, he made the whole thing.
I hope he shows
fun.
up at the Paralympics. Wouldn't that be great if he showed up at the Paralympics? Oh.
I mean, my God, he's been in France for 2 weeks. I'm sure he's got to get home at some point. But yeah, that'd be awesome. Alexis says, "I'm having to spend my double bridal money I saved up on Adequan and PRP, and he's not even lame." I don't.
What's PRP?
Yeah, it's something they do to a tendon, I think, or yeah, it's like it's a thing to fix a horse's foot.
Do you mean there's something we haven't talked about on the show? Still,
I forget what it's called, but Alexis, you can't post something like this and not give us more details. Why are you PRPing your horse? Cheryl says, "My friend wants to ride together after work today, but I don't know if I'll be home in time because I'm playing hooky from work and I'm going to the water park with my family." I haven't been to a water park. When was the last time you went to a water park?
Here in Orlando at one of the water parks, probably 15 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. I think I'm going to have to go. Molly says, "The zipper on one of my dressage boots is failing. So for like 2 to 3 weeks while it's being repaired, I'm being forced to ride in my other uber fancy dressage boots that I typically save for horse shows."
It is true, though. You have your boots, at-home boots, and away boots. It's just a thing.
So when I was in Kentucky for the Kentucky Denver whatever Defender something, I needed new boots because I just trashed mine. Mine are so old, and the like back ripped off where the snap is, and like the snap broke and all this. So I went and bought new fancy boots, Rolex,
tall boots?
And I brought them home. Yeah, tall boots, like the area. Like I saved up, like I got the good ones, and I saved up, and I got them home, and they're so beautiful, and they fit so perfect, and they're so lovely. I'm wearing my old ones. I just cut the piece with the zipper, the snap off. I was like, it'll be fine.
In case you ever do go away. Just in case.
Too pretty to ride in. I can't do it. Get it. Ruth says, "I'm getting ready to do a century ride." That's where the horse and rider combined ages is over 100. And she said, "We're doing first level, and my mare Joy used to compete at third level. And so she thinks she should show off her flying changes instead of just a canter to trot." That is very extra and very first world. That is such a first world.
Did she say she's riding in the Century Ride?
Yes.
Wow.
Congratulations, Ruth. We want to talk to you after it. Please get in touch for Glenn message Ruth.
Yeah.
Tara says, This is a drama thing that I haven't really talked about, but it's a house drama, and you should probably reach out to Tara after this, because she said they sold their place last week, but there's something going on with like the flooring.
I've been talking to her actually. I have been talking to her because we're both like locked out of our houses and can't get in.
But she said she sold it last week, and the mortgage company is holding their purchase hostage, so she's homeless now.
Yes.
What?
Apparently, the mortgage company's having a tough time getting over the fact that there's concrete floors. By the way, she said this is a fixer-upper, but I don't know. That picture she posted was a pretty house. But I don't know why a mortgage company... Concrete floors are a thing now. And besides, what's going to go wrong with the concrete floor? It's concrete.
It was a lot to understand, but I just felt like because
we've been commiserating almost every day.
Exactly. Okay.
She's going to be in before us, though, I think.
Elizabeth says, "Oh, this is so sad, Elizabeth. Ariat is no longer making the round toe lace paddock boots, and they're like the only ones I like." I like the zip front. I got away from the lace for a long time and then the zip front. So I don't know. Ellen says, so I went to a driving competition and my pony was wonderful. And I won my class and then I won my entire division. But my feet hurt from walking the courses so much. How do your pony feels?
Yeah, anyway.
They're the one that did all the work, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh gosh, that's it. Now I'm really excited to get to the post show because I really need to learn about water towers.
Yes,
so
I know.
Let's just go.
If you want to be part of the post show and you're not right now, become an auditor. Go to horseradionetwork.com, scroll down to the auditor banner in the middle of the page, and for as little as $3 a month, you too can become an auditor and be involved in the post show. And then apparently we still have auditors that haven't figured out how to get to the post show. I posted it again in the auditor room last week. So there is another post in there about how you can get to the post show. You definitely want to do that.
I don't do it either. I don't listen to the post show. It's fine. So I'm like, that's where we spill all the tea is in the post show. That's where you should check it out.
I've had a couple listeners. Chantel messaged me just this morning and said, where are you at getting into the house? Well, I'll give you the update. Nothing's changed. We're still waiting for Duke to put our power in, and we're still waiting. So I think
at least there's no turtles underground.
Weeks away. I think we're still a couple weeks away. All right, that's it. That's my sad news. Let's go find out about
Equestrian first world problem.
That's my equestrian first world problem. We have a farm and we can't get in it. All right, let's go to the post show.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Spay, neuter, and gild.